playing. We just drinking all night, stuff like that. And I forgot I had a basketball game that day. And I said, shit, I got a basketball game. Well, I said, fuck it.
Dennis Rodman once straight up forgot he had an NBA game. Not because he was hurt, not because of some family crisis, but because he was out in Atlantic City throwing dice at 5 a.m. after a wild all-nighter. While the Chicago Bulls were mid-game, security was banging on his hotel door like, Dennis, you know you're missing the game right now. They had to fly him back on a private jet mid-game. This man wasn't just any player. He's a 5-time NBA champion. And somehow, all that partying didn't destroy him. It fueled him. Rodman told this story himself on the Full Send podcast, and the details are unreal.
Oh, let's go to Atlantic City. I said, great. So I said, all right, we're getting the goddamn cars. So we passed Jersey, then we're going to Atlantic City, and we're in Atlantic City, we're at the crap table. I'm sitting there playing, we just drinking all night, stuff like that. And I forgot I had a basketball game that day. And I said, shit, I got a basketball game. Well, I said, fuck it. So we gambling. So we go upstairs. Next thing you know, I get a knock on the door. I said, oh, shit. I said, who is it? George, my security people from Chicago. They said, Dennis, you know, you mentioned the game right now. So they came and got me and got a private plane, went back to Chicago.
Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins said he watched Rodman gamble till sunrise during the finals, then walk into practice like nothing happened. Shaq even called his parties the craziest he'd ever seen. Phil Jackson literally ordered Steve Kerr to tag along with Rodman for team building. They stayed out all night, came back half dead, and Rodman still outworked everyone in practice. These aren't rumors. They're stories verified by his teammates and Rodman himself. Every single one saw him dominate the court like nothing could faze him. People always say greatness comes from discipline, sacrifice, and strict routines. But Dennis Rodman flipped that whole idea upside down. He led the league in rebounds 7 years in a row while knocking back 20 to 30 shots of Jaeger every night.
You probably saw it on Last Dance. So I'm having a blast with a bunch of girls. This me and Carmen. You saw a bunch of Jaegers drinking my ass off, stuff, da-da-da-da.
At 36 years old, he was still out here hitting strip clubs until 5 a.m. between playoff games. Then showing up and pulling down 15 rebounds in Game 6 of the 1998 Finals, just 2 days after wrestling Hulk Hogan instead of going to practice. The thing everyone thought made Rodman great, his technique, his defense, his IQ. Yeah, that mattered. But what really made him great was his refusal to be normal. He didn't care about what anyone thought. He lived exactly how he wanted and still delivered on the court every night. One time, the Bulls had a game in New York. Rodman hit a strip club, met a woman who said, "Let's go to Atlantic City." And he said, "Bet." He spent the whole night gambling, drinking, completely wrecked. And when security found him, the game had already started. But get this, he told Full Send that during the Bulls' dynasty years, he went to Vegas 20 to 25 times every single season, not in his career, per season.
How many times you go to Vegas, like mid-season or like playoffs?
Let's see. I'd say probably season, I'll probably go like between 20 and 25 times.
What?
After games. Because we have a day off, I just go get a plane and go to Vegas and come back the next night.
That's basically 2 Vegas trips a month while winning 3 straight championships. And he only missed 1 game because of it. 25 Vegas runs, hundreds of strip club nights, thousands of shots, and still just 1 absence. That's not chaos. That's controlled madness. Then came January 1998, the Bulls' final championship season. Scottie Pippen was hurt. Rodman was exhausted from carrying the team, and he asked Phil Jackson for a break. Michael Jordan couldn't believe it, but Jackson gave him 48 hours off in Vegas. Jordan told everyone what would happen. Once Rodman hit Vegas, he wouldn't come back. And guess what? He was right. Carmen Electra went with him and later said the trip was pure insanity. Restaurants, nightclubs, after-hour spots, no sleep, no stopping. The 48 hours came and went, and Rodman was nowhere to be found. Jordan finally had to fly out, knock on his door, and personally drag him back. Carmen said she hid behind the couch with a blanket over her head while Jordan stood there demanding Rodman get up. Rodman lived on his own planet, one where chaos and greatness existed side by side. And somehow, that's what made him unstoppable. When Jordan showed up to pull Dennis out of bed, he later said he wouldn't even describe what else was going on in that room. It was that wild. Rodman missed multiple practices and the media ripped him to shreds. But when the season ended, the Bulls were champions again. 80 games played, 15 rebounds a night, another ring, and all that drama only cost him $50,000 in fines. Fast forward to Game 3 of the 1997 Finals, Bulls versus Jazz. In the middle of the series, Rodman suddenly says, "Call a billionaire, get the jet, we're going to Vegas." Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins tags along.
We stay out all night gambling. And this is Dennis, like, rubbing dice on people's bodies and throwing the dice so drunk they're bouncing out of the craps pit. And I mean, just total mess. And you're thinking, how is this going to help us win a championship? Very much a fan mentality.
They fly out, party all night, and by sunrise, Corgan's dying from a hangover while Rodman looks fresh as ever. At 9 a.m., no sleep, no food. He goes straight into shoot-around like it's nothing. Then he casually tells Corgan, "I'm going back." And this man really flew commercial back to Vegas during the NBA Finals. The next game, he pulls down 14 rebounds, locks up Karl Malone, and the Bulls win in 6. Nobody mentioned the Vegas detours, only the rings. That's the Rodman effect. Chaos off the court, domination on it. And then there's the Madonna story, which sounds like a myth, but it's 100% real. Rodman was gambling in Vegas when Madonna called him from New York, saying she had urgent news. She was ovulating and wanted him there immediately. Without missing a beat, he put down the dice and told the casino, "Hold my table." Madonna sent a private G5 jet, and Rodman flew cross-country, handled his business, then hopped right back on the plane to Vegas.
So I put the dice down. I said, "Hold the table."
Hold the table.
That's what I said. Hold the table. And they do that shit. They hold the table. So they do that. So they do that. If we got money, they do that. So anyway, she sent a plane for me, G5. I went to the airport, came here, flew here, went over that thing over to her house, did my thing, went back on the plane, got back, they held the table, started playing dice again.
The casino literally kept his table waiting, and he picked up the dice again like nothing happened. That's not just a wild night, that's a precision operation with style. His whirlwind romance with Carmen Electra was just as insane.
And I had sex with her. I was like, oh my God, we both admitted that we want to marry each other, right?
The wedding, pure chaos. His bodyguard said he realized Dennis and Carmen were way too drunk to be making life decisions. So he literally drove them around Los Angeles for 3 hours, pretending they were heading to Vegas. They were so out of it, they didn't notice he stopped at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey instead. The man faked the whole trip just to buy them time. But Dennis being Dennis, they eventually went through with it anyway. November 14th, 1998 at 7 a.m. in Las Vegas. 5 chapels turned them down before one finally agreed. The minister started explaining the symbolism of the wedding rings, and Rodman cut him off saying, "Just get it done before I change my mind." 9 days later, the marriage was annulled. Classic Rodman, impulsive, unpredictable, unstoppable. Even Phil Jackson knew you couldn't fight Dennis's lifestyle. You had to work with it. His strategy was pure genius. Keep Rodman connected through controlled chaos. He'd literally assign teammates to party with Rodman so he wouldn't drift too far from the team. Steve Kerr said Jackson gave him direct orders to tag along with Rodman and Judd Buechler to Atlantic City one night.
My favorite Phil Jackson story, Dennis Rodman was drifting apart from the team one year emotionally. He was a very quiet guy, behind the scenes, and separated himself from the group sometimes. So Phil would try to pull him back in. And so one day in Philadelphia, we had a game. And after the game, we had that night free staying in Philadelphia. Phil came to Judd Buechler and me, and he said, "Hey, listen, Dennis is drifting away from the team. I want you guys to go with him to Atlantic City tonight. He chartered a bus. He's going down there to play blackjack, and I want you guys to hang with him." We had a wild night with Dennis in Atlantic City. Stayed out all night. Came back to the hotel at like 7 in the morning, and we had to practice that morning.
All night partying, zero sleep. And Jackson documented everything in his diary like it was just another form of training. Rodman wasn't just a player, he was a storm. And somehow, Phil Jackson learned how to coach the chaos. Dennis once downed 17 kamikazes in a single night, just sipping them like regular beers. Everyone knew Phil Jackson, the coaching staff, the Bulls organization, and they let it happen because he always delivered. Jackson even gave him a spiritual nickname, the Heyoka, meaning the sacred clown. It fit perfectly. Rodman was chaos in motion, and that chaos brought 3 straight championships. Now fast forward to the modern NBA. Everything's about rest, science, and load management. Players sit out in November to save energy for April. LeBron skips back-to-backs, Kawhi takes entire seasons off, and Embiid proudly calls 50 games taking care of his body. The whole league has been redesigned around maximum rest and minimum chaos. But then you look at Dennis Rodman, the man who made chaos his superpower. At 36 years old, he played 80 games while drinking 30 shots a night. He grabbed 15 rebounds in finals games just 2 days after wrestling on TV. Two-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5 championships, and 7 straight rebounding titles. And he partied harder than any athlete in history. People today say he succeeded despite his lifestyle. But the truth is, he succeeded because of it. In 1991, he averaged an insane 18.7 rebounds per game, the highest since the NBA-ABA merger. In 1992, he pulled down 1,530 total rebounds, a record that's still untouched more than 30 years later. He once grabbed 34 rebounds in a single game, and even held Shaq scoreless in the second half and overtime. Against Shaq, his career record was 13-3 in the regular season and 4-0 in the playoffs. That's not luck, that's domination. His accolades are legendary: 2-time DPOY, 7-time All-Defensive First Team, and 5 rings. But then there's the other side, the part that no one can separate from his greatness. 20 to 30 shots of Jaeger every night, around 25 Vegas trips per season, leaving strip clubs at 5 a.m. and showing up to practice by 9:30. $1.2 million lost for kicking a cameraman, suspended 11 games for that, plus another 6 for headbutting a ref. 3 failed marriages, $860,000 in unpaid child support, multiple DUIs, a 0.21 BAC, more than double the legal limit. He went to rehab 4 times. None of them worked. That's the thing about Rodman. The greatness and destruction live side by side. You couldn't have one without the other. But what people often ignore is the pain underneath it all. His father abandoned him when he was 3. His mother worked 4 jobs, barely around, and eventually kicked him out at 17. He spent over 4 years homeless, sleeping wherever he could.
No, I didn't play ball in high school. I was more of a, you could say, a mama's boy, because I used to hang around my sisters every day because I never had a male figure.
Right.
So I hung around my sisters.
And they were better at ball than
Oh
you.
my God, I was like a football player. Then I got nervous when I got in the 9th grade, and I started to follow my sister around and play volleyball.
By 1993, he was sitting in a parking lot with a loaded rifle and a suicide note beside him. He later admitted, "I wanted to be loved because I was never loved by my mother or father." Police found him after a welfare check. He fell asleep with the gun in his lap. When he woke up, something had shifted. After 60 days in isolation, he came back as a new version of himself. The hair dye, the piercings, the wild clothes, the chaos. It wasn't for attention, it was survival. But decades later, the cost became impossible to ignore. His daughter Trinity revealed in 2024 that she spent part of her childhood living in cars and motels because he didn't pay child support.
Like, don't disrespect him like that. It's like, that's not disrespect. He's not a dad. Right. He's a person. He's not a dad. Maybe by blood, but nothing else.
She said when she tried living with him, it was a nightmare. Endless parties, random strangers, zero peace. The man who once held together the NBA's greatest dynasty lost everything that truly mattered. So what do we really call Dennis Rodman? Not just a party animal, not just a distraction, not even a cautionary tale. He's a psychological outlier, a man who weaponized chaos to dominate the most structured sport on earth. Jordan ruled through discipline, Kobe through relentless routine, LeBron through perfect optimization. Rodman ruled by rejecting every rule that tried to cage him. Phil Jackson understood it, Jordan respected it, and because of that, the Bulls thrived.
I'm like, what you counting? Like, I didn't ask what you counting. I said, what you doing? He said, I'm counting. I'm counting the spins on the ball. He said, when you shoot, your ball spin like 3 times. Joe sometimes spent 4. This dude was counting the rotations on the ball on every player. He knew how long it was going to be in the air, how many times it rotated, where it was going to hit, where it would bounce. I had never seen nobody break down rebounding like that in my life.
That
was
is kind of insane,
bro. He was a genius,
That's
man.
dope.
Dennis Rodman was a flat-out genius when it came to basketball.
Isaiah Thomas once said Rodman studied rebounding like an obsession, breaking down every bounce and angle. Steve Kerr remembered him missing open layups on purpose just to study how the ball reacted off the rim. That's not madness, that's genius hiding in the storm. Rodman didn't just grab rebounds, he turned it into an art form. He'd pull down an offensive board, purposely toss up a shot he knew would miss, just so he could snatch another rebound and pad his stats. That wasn't luck. That was pure calculation. Every bounce, Every angle, every crash to the rim, Rodman studied it like science. He wasn't guessing. He was controlling the chaos. But here's the heartbreak. The same refusal to conform that made him unstoppable on the court destroyed him everywhere else. He couldn't live a normal life because being normal would have killed what made him great. He couldn't be the steady father or husband people wanted because the wild energy that won championships couldn't survive in a quiet home. Rodman didn't fail because he partied too much. He failed because he gave up normalcy for greatness. His rebellion wasn't about fun. It was a trade, one he made willingly, and it cost him everything outside the game. And the haunting question remains, if you told the 1998 version of Dennis Rodman that he'd lose his family but win 3 more rings, would he still do it? The answer? He already did. So now it's on you. If you think Rodman's story proves you can party your way to greatness, hit that like button. If you think it's a warning about how refusing to be normal can cost everything, drop a comment. And if you want more wild, untold stories about the athletes who broke every rule and still changed the game, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next one.